Cheers. Welcome to Resting in Higher Places. Today we're going to do our first sit down video. I always watch people do these and I'm like, we could do that. I like talking.
Yeah, you do.
So I'm like, we could do that. So here we are today doing that because a lot of people had questions about I shouldn't say a lot of people. Some people had questions about the tiny house and the land and all of that. So I figured we could just do it this way to answer all the questions.
Yeah.
So you have the questions?
Yes. All right. So, first question: why did we buy land?
You can start.
Okay, I guess I'll start. Reason why we bought land is because I've always shared this kind of, we can call it goal. I was gonna say fantasy, but goal of getting property and just having the freedom of the property, being able to really do honestly whatever you want. So for me, I've always seen and passed by farmland and always wondered what it'd be like to live on there and strive to actually get something similar. If it's not farmland, it's just a vacant property with trees, some trees, all trees, it didn't matter. I want to be able to shoot from my porch if I want to and nobody tell me what to do. Not that that's recommended. But yeah, just that freedom, seeing that day really did it for me.
And for me, I'll start with this story. I'll never forget when Josh asked me the question, like, if you could live wherever you wanted, would you live in a luxurious condo downtown? Would you live in a perfect suburban house, or would you live in the middle of the woods? And I was like, heck no, I'm not going in the middle of the woods. Like, I don't think so. That's like creepy. Like, I think about like strangers or like, or I used to think about, yeah, like crazy movies like that. I'm like, no, thank you. I want my kids to have neighbor friends, and I want, or have little kids to play with on the street. And that was my mindset at that point. So I understand how that's a lot of people's mindsets now too. But what really changed a lot of things for me was I was working at this job that I absolutely hated. And I was just thinking about what it would be like to live on our own, away from all of, I don't know.
Civilization?
Yeah, civilization. No, but like, I guess there's a lot of limitations, like Josh mentioned, like even having chickens. Like, I just thought about raising our own chickens, having our own eggs, being able to live off of our land, like growing our own food. And like the fact that we pay so much money in the suburbs and we have an association with so many rules, and we can't have the animals that we want, and we can't, even paint our door without someone's permission. It just really got really aggravating. And just thinking about being able to have more with less of an income, like if we were to live full-time on our land now, we could be able to survive on one income if you wanted to. But for me, it was more of just being able to like have the chickens, to have our own crops or vegetables, or grow our own things, and just to be able to be home with the kids. And just that's another huge part of it for me, is I really want to be more involved in my kids' lives daily, not just for small portions of the day, but I just want to be able to teach them and to grow with them and value every minute that we have with them.
Right. So for me, I was really happy because I was like, man, this could happen. Because it's one thing to be like, hey babe, I want land, but it's one thing for her to say, hey babe, we should get land. And I'm like, all right.
Like, that's not like a small investment. Like,
Right.
It's something that when you marry, like both of you need to be on board with.
Right. And I don't ever make a big purchase without letting her know, and she does not do the same, but it is what it is.
Vice versa.
Yeah, no, you don't do the same.
What? I don't make big purchases.
All right, fine, that's true. Not anymore.
This is true.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But it was almost like my dream was coming true, like to life and coming true. Where is the land?
The land is in Wisconsin, and it's about an hour north of Green Bay. So it's in the north woods of Wisconsin, very close to Michigan.
Add to it?
That was, where is the land? How did we find it?
Okay.
Okay, so
I'll let you take that.
So we decided that when I got laid off from my job last year, but right before COVID really hit.
2 weeks before COVID.
We decided that we definitely wanted to invest in a piece of land because for a couple reasons. For one, God forbid we're not able to continue living here, then we do have somewhere else to go that we could possibly, we would be fine over there financially on one income alone. So that was the first reason. The second reason is because that's just been a dream of ours, like we said. So that was our opportunity to make that a reality. So what we did was, the first thing was look at the whole map of Wisconsin and break it down by counties to see of all the regions, we kind of did it by region, north, where are we going, which region? And we just looked to see who had the lowest property taxes. And so we found that was more on the northeast side of Wisconsin. And then we started looking for a church because, our faith is important to us. And right now we don't really have a church home.
Right.
So we were looking, and it just so happened that we found a pastor over there. We started following him, and God gave us a confirmation by something that he said, that this was the man that we wanted to be our pastor. Hi. Then we were like, okay, so we know this pastor in this area. Let's start looking for lots of land in that area.
That's right, yeah.
So then we found a few lots in that area. So ironically, on the way to go see the land, we pass up the sign that's advertising for the church.
Yes.
And we didn't even realize at the time we actually passed the church. Because it's right on that road. So we actually passed a sign advertising for the church and the actual church, which we didn't know at the time.
That was funny.
And then our realtor happened to be a pastor too. So we're like, okay, God is written all over this. And that's just the way that we move. We need to know that God is in it before we finally make moves on things like that.
Right.
We don't just, do things on splurge. Everything is put at the altar. We ask God, and once we get approval from him or some kind of confirmation, then we're like, okay, we feel good about it. It's in his will, and then we go.
And that was something I was just going to say too. All this stuff we prayed about before a long time ago, and a lot of it was just kind of falling into place almost as we would pray for it. Something would just open up and work out. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Not weird. It was such a blessing, but it was weird to feel that working.
And I just fell in love with it. Josh started going deeper and going off, and I was just standing there with the realtor, and he was talking to me, but I was just not even really paying attention to what he was saying. I was just soaking in the property. I'm just I love it.
Yeah.
It was just house on the prairie type thing to me. I was like, this is it. I loved it. But then we found out that there were some wetlands in the back, and so Josh was turned off by that completely. He was like, nope, we can't. There's wetlands. Nope, I read about this.
Well, the reason why is because on wetlands they're protected. So if you're gonna be on wetlands, there's certain things you can't do. So then that goes back to the association thing. I'm limited on what I can do with my property now, again, and that's not what I want. But then I talked to the realtor, and that's not how it is over there. You can still build on there, but it just can't be permanent structures. You could still cut down the trees, you just can't cut it down all the way. There's certain things that I'm okay with.
So then we saw that second piece of land, and at first we were going back and forth about it because of the wetlands and stuff. But then we ended up doing more research, found out what you said about the wetlands, and that's when we're like, okay, let's just make a bid on it. And then we kind of went back and forth and waited, and then we just knew deep down inside that was it. Once you know that you really love it when you have a chance of losing it, and you're like, no. So I think that really made us realize how much we loved it when we had to actually wait to get it. But again,
not only that, but it's such a big purchase that you don't want it to be the wrong purchase.
Okay.
How many acres?
So it's 10 acres.
What are our plans for it? What are the plans for it?
That's
So
a good question.
that's a lot of stuff.
Okay, well,
Go ahead.
since you're thinking.
Yeah.
Well, first off, we did lease it for hunters.
Yes.
And so that was the original plan, was just to have the land and lease it to hunters to make some passive income. And then, you know, so we have our hunting stand there. But then we love the land so much that we wanted to go there more and more and more.
Yeah.
And we realized, okay, we're spending, you know, money on a hotel every time we want to come over here. And, you know, the hotels around there are really small towns, so they're not, you know, they're not the most luxurious hotels, let's just say.
Not even a little.
I mean, I don't even
Motels.
need luxury.
Motels.
Let's just
It's
say
a
they're a little rinky-dink
motel-based
motel.
Area.
So I was like, I don't feel comfortable. So we would end up driving like an hour from Green Bay to just go hang out on the land. And, you know, we realized, okay, this is a little ridiculous. Maybe we should really think about getting something on there. So then we started doing our research, and we found this cabin guy that was amazing.
Amish cabin builder.
Yes. Him and his family were
Well,
super.
Shed builder. But apparently after a certain square footage, it's called a cabin. Especially when there's a porch on the front.
Yeah.
And he was the one that told us that. Because I was calling it a shed the whole time, and then he corrected me.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I've
I
called
thought,
it.
you know, we're trying to be humble about it. Not really. It's still like a shed to me, but definitely when the Amish guy approves of it being a cabin, I guess it's a cabin at this point.
Yeah, I've called it a shed, a cabin, a tiny house. What else? I think that's it.
Which at this point, it pretty much is a tiny house.
I just start calling it a tiny house. So now we have the tiny house. So we're hoping that maybe we'll be able to Airbnb it. But our real dream and hope is that we'll be able to move over there. So eventually we want to build a real house on the property where we will live and have our chickens and, you know, whatever else we need.
And my shooting range.
Yeah, of course. It's like the whole reason we bought it.
Yeah,
That's
whatever.
the real reason.
Whatever. The shooting range and the trails. I want to be able to build trails as well, which I already kind of got started. So
Yeah, so that's the plan for the cabin, land, tiny house for now.
yeah. So for now, it's just a vacation home.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Right
Yeah.
now it's our project.
Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress because it's still. It's only like 20% done. It's not really anything. The next question is electric. So I got a generator. It's not powerful. I thought it would be enough for us, but apparently, you know, there's a little more that I didn't expect, like being able to run an AC unit. It's just not as powerful as I want it to be, and it's the AC units that fit in that little window are not as powerful as I want them to be, that my generator could use, that they could power. But the AC units we purchased so far are just too big, too powerful for my 3300 watt generator. So I have to either up the generator or switch to something else. And that's when we got solar. So now we have a solar generator, and it's gonna be put in next time. So once we get that, that'll be our source of power, where I could power pretty much any AC unit if I wanted to. And it'll also last, the generator itself, I could power it from a home. It takes about 2 days from an outlet to plug it in and charge it. And then you get about 3 to 4 days without having to hook up any solar to it, just as a power bank, which is awesome. How will you bathe inside?
Oh, okay, well, so for now, we're using the outdoor shower that we have, but the plan is to eventually put a tub in.
Yes.
Just drill a hole in the floor, and we're just going to have kind of an off-grid indoor shower because we don't want to do septic because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And it's a small little cabin, so it's really, to me, not worth that much money.
It'd be cool to do it, but it's not worth putting it for something that we're not going to live in 100%.
Yeah, and we're talking like $5,000 plus.
It'll be 5.
So, yeah, we just want to keep it as simple as possible. And honestly, it's also like partly a journey to see how much we can, like how we can live without some of these things that we've been so used to. Like it'll be interesting to see, Papa. It'll be interesting to see how we can live off of just regular water draining into the hole. Like we have to use special soap for it, but is that much of a burden? No, I don't think so. And you know, if we don't have an actual toilet that flushes, we'll have to use the toilet that we just purchased, which is like an RV toilet. So you put water in the top and you can flush it, but it drains down into the bottom, and then you have to clean that and get rid of it. But it works. So that's really all that matters. Like the sinks that we have right now, they're draining into a Home Depot bucket, but it works. You can wash your hands. So I really love the fact that our kids are able to live the way people had no choice to live in the past. Like I think it's really humbling, and just, I don't know, it makes us value things a lot more.
And it's actually not as uncomfortable as you would expect.
Yeah, I mean, I love water pressure. We talked about that. Yes. Running water is a gift from God, and you should appreciate it.
Yeah, when we're over there, we miss that.
Like
Gravity-fed systems are pretty...
And warm, hot showers. When will it be done? Okay, so we wish it could be done as soon as possible. But, I mean, I think, honestly, the progress that we've made so far has been really great. Mm-hmm. Because it's been about 2 months and you already have the flooring done, you already have the cabinets and the countertop, we have our bed there, the loft is pretty much done. Okay, so we have to add molding to the ceilings in the loft, and then we have to continue finishing the ceiling, and we have to also insulate and, well, first we have to get electric
roughed in,
and then we have to insulate the walls, put the walls, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and we also need to get a camping stove for the inside so we can have heat. We're going to use wood to heat up the inside when it gets cold in the winter, because it's freezing at night in the summer. Yeah. So I don't even want to know what kind of snowflakes will grow on my body overnight in the winter. I've heard that these camping stoves, though, like, heat up small spaces so much that you, like, are too hot. So hopefully that's exactly what we need.
I just don't want to be sweating.
Yeah, we know. He can't be in heat.
I can't be in heat.
We don't get along when he's hot.
Oh.
What else? Oh, and then the exterior. So that's the rest that has to be done on the inside. And also, like, some furniture and design, like what I'm dying to do, you know, the design part.
Yeah.
But for the exterior, we have to, it's already been primed on the outside, so that color that you see is just primer. So we have to paint the outside. We have to put the little, what are those things so animals don't go under?
Oh, like chicken wire.
So we have to, like, put some chicken wire on the side. We still have to do the landscaping for the outside, so we want to get some gravel and mulch and some things like stepping stones and stuff like that, just to kind of
spruce it up. We have to put the little vent thing that you see in the middle of like garages and single family homes. It's like a fake outside vent.
Oh yeah, that's like a decal. Oh, you see that line? That's right there.
Yep, that's what I'm looking
at. On all the houses. So you know how there's like the peak in the house and there's like a little like round or
accent kind of fake vent.
Yeah, so we have that. I bought it before the cabin was even built. I was like, I need this. And so that needs to be put up. The solar one needs to be put up.
Yep.
So, you know, considering all of those things, what's going to take the most time really is the insulation and the ceiling. And the ceiling was such a pain.
Yeah, that's...
Good luck. And the walls, I don't know, 2 months. I don't know. It's hard to tell because you're by yourself and...
Yeah, it's going to be a little while. It's not going to be a long time, but probably a few months, I would think.
Hopefully by...
Before winter.
Yeah, that's the prayer.
Before winter.
Yeah. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for following on our journey. And we love you guys and we will keep you posted.
Yep.
Bye.